be really, say that. But without a cook, you know, they don't go very far. What did you really do? You steal apple dumplings.
Yes.
Liz Graybill, U.S. Army, retired. I resigned from 1984 to 2007, 23 years active duty. I received a Bronze Star from Iraq.
She used to play 5 times. And she's also air assault qualified, you know about the helicopters.
Whoa!
I was in the Army Reserve a few years.
My name is John Ray Hoffman. I was in the United States Army from September 1966 to January 1989.
Thank you.
Ed Bender, Army retiree, drafted and sent to Vietnam in 69-70, called up to active duty for Desert Storm, retired in 1995.
Thank you.
Bill Gaiman, 66 to 68, 18 months in Germany.
Steve Ross from May 1961 to May 1964.
Thank you.
Joe Smith, 1964 to 1970, 2 tours in Vietnam, Korea, Germany, and Alaska. I'm the Bronze Star.
Robert Hartman, Army, 66 to 69.
Yeah, Randy Tolman, 1958 to 61, 101st Airborne Division.
Lord Strunk, I served from 1960 to 1963, served 13 months over in Korea.
Donald Oak, I was in the service from 1965 to 1968, and I served with NATO Forces Europe.
Thank you.
Lewis Goodman, United States Army, 1993 to 1996 and 2003.
Ted Twardowski, served from 67 to 71, 18 months in Vietnam.
Thank you very much. Okay, what's the Navy song? I forget. Anchors away, anchors away, Navy. Where are you? Come on. All right. Is this all the Navy? Oh, here we go.
Well, in close order. Hi there, I'm Joe Toth, T-O-T-H. I have to smile. These guys saying 1966 to 1969. I retired in 1966 with 21 years credit. I had worked on the beach, sailing the ship across the desert in Idaho, a nuclear prototype. I was on a battleship, a cruiser, tin can, destroyer escort, 2 fleet oilers, and an APAA. And if you think they kept up with me from ship to ship, it was decommissioning or discharged, went out for 83 days and went back in.
Rod Miller, Navy Airedale. Spent my few years from 56 to 60 on and off carriers, Independence and Forrestal. We were in Guantanamo, Cuba before the Cold War, except I think we started it because while I was on the base there, Fidel Castro turned off the water and we fired all the Cubans, and that was the beginning of the Cold War.
Charles Moser, United States Navy Aviation, 1958, 1962. I was in the Forrestal, so never met Roswell.
Fred Zencraft, I served from 67 to 71. I maintained submarines. Chuck Gardner, 55 to 59. And I think I spent more time in the air than an airport ship.
Mike Superfetto, 71 to 74, stationed at the Naval Air Facility, Washington, D.C., which was close to home, and then Prime Norfolk.
Barry Oswiak, I served on USS John King, that missile destroyer. I was 17 years old when I went in. I got out at 21 years old. That was from 1963 to 1966.
My name is Rob Danner. I was in from 1965 to 1969. I was on the USS Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Thompson Gulf.
My name is Donald Ivey, and I didn't want to come up. I served 4 years, 7 months, and 2 days. And I didn't want to come up because I want to tell you the Korean veterans are never recognized. And one of the things that bothers me is that people don't know that Neil Armstrong was shot down 2 times on our ship. And I want to be proud of the fact that he knew me.
I want to say thanks to all of you veterans for all your service. And I really appreciate it because, you know, we all help make this country free, and we got to keep it free.
Air Force. I was going to say up and away, but I know that isn't it. What is it? Oh, all the way down into the wild blue yonder.
I'm Harry McCauley. I served from 1960 to 64 in the Air Force. I was an airborne radio radar technician. I worked in the B-52s and KC-135s, and I was in SAC, the Naval Tech Organization.
Earl Evans, Air Force, 1966 to 70, 2 tours in Vietnam as a bomber motor.
Leon Smith, Air Force, 66 through 70, Vietnam, 69 to 70, Air Force Commendation Medal, Airborne Radar Nav Repair.
William Taylor Ryle, United States Air Force, 1961 to 69, stationed in Okinawa and TDY to points south and west. Anyway, I was an aircraft electrician, worked on a variety of aircraft, B-52s, KC-135s, fighters, RF-101s. Frankly, it was a good time.
My name is Joe Reed, Air Force, 1961-65. I was a member of a composite air strike force. I was a gas and diesel generator mechanic, and among other things.
Bob Packard, United States Air Force, 1952 to 56, 4 years in the Korean conflict. I saw the United States 30 days out of 4 years. I'm proud to serve.
Alan Gilbert, I was in from 64 to 68. I was in northern Thailand in 65 and 66. And I was a flight line crew chief.
Is there any National Guard? Come on. You're not coming up with this. Coast Guard. Coast Guard. Did I miss anybody?
Would you people check your tickets? If you bought ticket 095 or 097, you put the wrong half in the bin. We have no way to contact you, so please trade me back. 095 and 097, you threw in the half that you're supposed to keep. So we don't know who bought those tickets, and we have no way to contact you. I'll be over at the ticket table.
Somebody else in the Army.
Carol Gardecki. Oh. You're Okay. Of course, we're studying the Constitution. I think most people here know that before we had a Constitution, we had the Articles of Confederation. And they were pretty bad. The country almost fell apart, and George Washington almost lost that war that started our country because they had no way to tax, and we didn't even have a president. And so George Washington and his troops were starving and freezing most of the time. Some of our fellow citizens were selling food to the British because the British had money to pay for it and George Washington didn't. So we are studying that Constitution, and in January we will meet on Wednesday, January the 6th at 6 p.m. and on Monday, January the 11th at 3 and 6. So that's Wednesday, January 6th, Monday, January 11th. Thank you. Thank you, Carol.
Representative Mark Dillon has a few words to say to you veterans. So if I can ask you veterans to come back up again, all of you, please. Mark, they're not coming up.
They will come up because we're going to give you something, okay? Come on up, veterans, please. Now, it's going to be a little difficult to line you all up across here, but I think you can do a nice arc, all right? We're going to use this as the midline here. I'm going to stand in the middle, and we're going to arc around here. And let's spread yourselves out evenly. The Army is going to be mixed up with the Marines, the Air Force, the Waves, and the Navy. Okay, we're going to mix you all up here just for a moment. Assisting me this evening, we have a little token for you. It's a little flashlight. Some of them actually I've discovered work, all right? And consider that a prize if the flashlight actually works. If your flashlight doesn't work, I have spares over here for a very nominal charge. And it says veterans on. Now, I want you to note, all right, this was not purchased with taxpayer money, mainly because we don't have any money to spend in Harrisburg. I want to congratulate these ladies on the front row for laughing the loudest. What is your name?
Shirley Moser.
I've heard that name before. And your name?
Joe Brown.
Let's have a round of applause for these ladies, please. All right, before we recognize our veterans here, where's Rod Miller here? Why don't you come over here just for a second, Rod? On behalf of Representative Maloney, myself, as well as Representative Joswiak, we wanted to present the Patriots with a 6 by 10 foot flag to complement the flags that you already have in this room. So thank you very much for your service, not only in the United States military, but with the Patriots. That's for you. How about this second, Photo op. All right, thank you. It flew over my head very briefly. All right, it did not fly over the Capitol. Working their way around here, Representative Joswiak, Representative Maloney, I have extras in my pocket, but can I just say a couple words, not only to the group here, but to the assembled veterans community. You hear a lot about the greatest generation. I'm not certain that we have a World War II veteran up here. I did not hear. Rod was probably the closest with Civil War era service. But I'm not certain that he was in World War II. My dad was in a torpedo plane. We have World War II. All right, let's go back here just for a second. We're not picking on you. You were in the Navy just like my dad, and what were you on?
Battleship, cruiser, tin can, destroyer, escort, 2 fleet orders, and AKA
is going to write a book on his service. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest generation right there. Let me say this. Every generation has had its greatest. I think of the ancient Hebrew author and prophet Isaiah. Here am I, Lord, send me. Heard about a 17-year-old. I think it was Barry Joswiak. My own dad turned 17 years old on December 25th, 1941. You know where he wanted to go? You know the Christmas present that he wanted? He wanted his mother's signature so he could join the United States Navy. He said he'd join the Merchant Marine if she wouldn't sign. And she signed. And he was in the South Pacific. And you say, that was the greatest generation. Arguably, that was a great generation. But you know what this group is made up of? Men and women who made great decisions to serve their country. You expressed a willingness to sacrifice. Maybe the date and the time of your service wasn't signature in somebody's mind. Maybe it wasn't a December 7th, 1941. But guess what? It takes just as much courage and just as much sacrifice to be in a foxhole in Nam, to be up in a plane, to be on a ship, to serve admirably stateside. I was driving over here, and I'll close with this. I said to my wife, Google the Sullivan brothers. Sometimes we think of sacrifice singularly as being in uniform. But I want you, in your mind's eye, just to drift back for a moment. And that mom or dad, that praying mom or dad, that caring sibling, that tremendous friend who took the time to write and to communicate with you from afar. 5 Sullivan brothers went on the USS Juneau. In the Battle of Guadalcanal, all 5 of those Sullivan brothers on November 13th, 1942, were killed in the Battle of Guadalcanal. And we would say, and rightfully so, therein lies greatness. We don't hear much about Genevieve Sullivan. You know what she did? She followed in her brother's footsteps, and she joined the waves. How many children did the Sullivan family have? 6. They lost 5 at Guadalcanal, and they sent Genevieve off to serve. You know what that is? That's greatness. When you had to make that decision to sign on that dotted line and say that I love that flag and I love America more than my own freedom of movement and life, you demonstrated greatness because you put the uniform on. We're in your debt tonight. We're in your debt every day. I was at the World War II weekend, and I had the great privilege of meeting Colonel Tibbets of Enola Gay fame. Just a few years later, he died. I remember meeting him and talking with him, and he said to me, what was it that your dad did in the service? You've heard the same question. What did you do, Uncle? What'd you do, Dad? What'd you do, Grandpa? And maybe there's a certain reluctance to share that. Take the time to share that. It needs to be heard by this generation. And I shared with Colonel Tibbets. I said, my dad was in a machine gun carrier of a torpedo plane in the South Pacific off the USS Hancock during World War II. And he looked at me, and he said, son, you're lucky to be here. And I looked back at him and I said, I am. And can I say something else? I feel very blessed to be